Think about the moment it happened, not the relationship, not the dates or the conversations or the memories you built together, the actual moment, the specific second when something shifted inside you and you looked at one particular person and something in your chest said, "It is you." Out of every face you have ever seen, every voice you have ever heard, every person who has ever walked through your life, it landed on this one, and you had absolutely no idea why. You told yourself stories about it afterward, their smile, the way they laughed, something they said that nobody else would have said quite like that. You constructed a perfectly reasonable explanation for something that felt anything but reasonable. Because the truth, the actual scientific truth about why you fell in love with that specific person, is something your conscious mind was never supposed to know. And it is far stranger than you think. Here is what nobody tells you about falling in love. It does not begin when you meet someone. It begins years before you ever see their face. It begins in your childhood, in the home you grew up in the voices that surrounded you before you could speak, in the faces that leaned over you before you could remember. Your brain was building a template, a blueprint, an unconscious specification of exactly who it was looking for, and the moment that person walked into your life, something deep inside you whispered, "There you are." Psychologist John Bowlby spent decades studying what he called attachment theory. The idea that the bonds formed in the first years of life create a template that shapes every significant relationship that follows. The way your earliest caregivers responded to you, consistently, inconsistently, warmly, distantly, hardwired a pattern into your nervous system. A pattern of what love feels like, what it looks like, what it sounds like. And your brain has been searching for that pattern ever since. This is why love so often feels like recognition, like you have known this person before. Because in a very real neurological sense, you have. Not them specifically, but the pattern they fit, the emotional fingerprint they match, the particular frequency of their presence that resonates with something ancient inside you that was formed before you were old enough to choose anything at all. But the template is only the beginning, because your brain is also running a chemical evaluation so complex and so rapid that your conscious mind receives only the final verdict. A feeling, a pull, an inexplicable certainty about a person you may have just met. Dr. Helen Fisher at Rutgers University has spent over 30 years studying the neuroscience of romantic love. What her research reveals is that love is not one feeling. It is three distinct neurological systems running simultaneously, each driven by different brain chemicals, each serving a different evolutionary purpose, each capable of existing completely independently of the others. The first system is desire, testosterone, and estrogen. Ancient, animal, immediate. It draws you towards someone physically before your mind has processed a single thought about them. It is the reason you notice a stranger across a room before you know anything about them. It is not love, but it opens the door. The second system is attraction. This is where dopamine takes over. Dopamine, the same chemical released by cocaine, by gambling, by any experience your brain classifies as unexpectedly rewarding. When you are attracted to someone, your brain begins flooding itself with dopamine every time you think about them, every time you see them, every time you receive a message from them. This is why new love feels addictive, why you cannot sleep, why you replay conversations at 3 a.m. with a level of focus you have never applied to anything else in your life. Your brain is not being romantic. Your brain is being a reward machine, and it has classified this person as the highest value reward it has ever encountered. But dopamine alone does not explain why you chose this particular person. That is where the third system enters. Attachment. Oxytocin and vasopressin, the chemicals of bonding, of trust, of the particular comfort that comes from proximity to one specific human being. This system does not fire for everyone. It fires for the person who fits the template, the person who matched the pattern, the person whose presence activates something in your nervous system that no other presence quite reaches. All three systems firing simultaneously. That is what falling in love actually is. Not a feeling, a neurochemical event. One of the most complex and precisely targeted biochemical reactions the human brain is capable of producing. And here is where it gets stranger still, because your brain is evaluating far more than you realize during those first moments with someone. It is reading signals you cannot consciously perceive. It is processing information your senses are collecting without telling you. Smell is perhaps the most powerful of these hidden evaluators. Beneath your awareness, your nose is reading another person's major histocompatibility complex, a cluster of immune system genes that produces a unique chemical signature in every human being. Research led by immunologist Klaus Wedekind at the University of Bern showed that people are consistently more attracted to the scent of individuals whose immune gene profiles are different from their own. Your brain is literally smelling genetic compatibility, assessing whether this person would produce children with a stronger immune system than either of you alone. Calculating biological fitness at a molecular level and translating the result into the feeling that this person smells incredible, smells familiar, smells like home. You thought you fell in love with a smile. You were also falling in love with an immune system. And then there is the question of timing. Because love does not strike randomly. It strikes when you are in a particular state. Psychologist Arthur Aaron at the State University of New York designed one of the most replicated experiments in the history of relationship science. He had strangers ask each other a series of increasingly personal and vulnerable questions, and then hold eye contact silently for 4 minutes. 2 strangers. 36 questions. 4 minutes of eye contact. Multiple couples who participated in the experiment later reported falling in love. 1 couple got married. What Aaron's research revealed was not that love requires chemistry or timing or fate. It revealed that love requires a specific neurological condition, a state of mutual vulnerability and focused attention between 2 people. Your brain interprets sustained eye contact and shared vulnerability as profound connection. It begins releasing oxytocin. It begins building attachment circuitry around this specific person. It mistakes the neurological conditions of intimacy for the experience of knowing someone deeply, which means love is not only something that happens to you, it is something your brain actively constructs. And this explains something that has quietly unsettled people for as long as human beings have fallen in love. Why does it sometimes feel so immediate? Why do some people describe knowing the moment they saw someone? Because your brain is not starting from scratch when you meet a person. It is running pattern recognition against a template it has been building for decades. When someone fits that template with unusual precision, the recognition can be almost instantaneous. Your brain does not need time to fall in love. It needs a match, and when it finds one, it acts accordingly. This is also why love can be so devastating when it ends. The person you lost was not just a person to your brain. They were the highest value reward in a dopamine system. They were the pattern match in an attachment system that has been running since childhood. They were the precise immune complement your biology had been searching for. Losing them does not feel like losing a relationship. It feels like losing something essential, because to your nervous system, they were. Dr. Lucy Brown at Albert Einstein College of Medicine scanned the brains of people who had recently experienced romantic rejection. What she found was that the areas of the brain that activate during love and the areas that activate during cocaine withdrawal are not merely similar. They are the same regions. Heartbreak is not a metaphor. It is a withdrawal from a neurochemical state your brain had come to depend on, which means that love, real love, changes your brain the way no other experience quite can. It rewires reward pathways. It builds attachment structures. It embeds a person into your neurology so deeply that their absence registers as a biological event. And now here's the part that quietly changes everything. All of this, the template, the chemicals, the immune system evaluation, the pattern recognition, none of it guarantees that the person your brain chose for you is actually right for you. The brain is not optimizing for your happiness. It is optimizing for genetic diversity, for pattern matching, for neurochemical reward. It is running programs that were written for a world that looked nothing like yours. Programs designed for small groups of hunter-gatherers on an open savanna where the stakes of every social bond were life or death. Your brain picked someone who matched a childhood template shaped by people and circumstances you did not choose. It evaluated their immune genetics through a sense you cannot consciously control. It flooded itself with chemicals designed to make you feel that this specific person is irreplaceable. And all of that happened before you finished your first conversation. So the next time you wonder why you fell in love with that particular person, why them out of everyone? Why that face and that voice and that specific way they exist in the world? The answer is that something far older and far smarter than your conscious mind already decided. It decided before you walked into the room. It decided before you even knew you were looking. And the feeling you called love, that overwhelming, inexplicable, world-rearranging certainty about one specific human being, was simply the moment you found out what it had chosen. You thought you fell in love. Your brain had been in love for years. I hope you understand the whole concept of love, and thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to channel for more mind-peeling videos.